He calls it the blonde bombshell, named for his significant other, Sonny.
If you would have came down to 13-year-old Chris Candido and said, listen, you're going to die at 33, but you're going to be a WWF champion.
Phineas, wait a minute, 29!
You're going to have more belts than you can count. You're not going to have kids or get married, but you'll be a wrestling star who's going to be remembered by the people and by other wrestlers.
How about win one for Candido, baby?
Do you accept? He would say yes. You know, like he took what came. I'm Johnny Ray, also known as Johnny Candido. I'm Chris Candido's younger brother. Cook is what me, my family, everybody in the neighborhood calls him Cook. When I was a baby, I couldn't say Chris. I called him Cook. It kind of stuck. So he started the Eastern Kids Wrestling Federation. He took this platter that was left behind at somebody's wedding, and yeah, so he just made this out of a weight belt. It looks like a legit wrestling belt, and he made it when he was 13. Like, how the you didn't make that at 13, right? Like, him and his friend Scott would say, Chris would say, I'm sleeping at Scott's house. Scott would tell his mom he's sleeping over here, and the two of them, they were 13, they'd get on a bus, go to Brooklyn, and they would wrestle at the Galaxian bar. You know, then they would take a bus back home the next morning and, you know, wash off their gig marks and come back home like they were just like at a regular sleepover. Like, that's how determined he was.
So he was sort of starting his wrestling career like behind your back.
Oh, way behind my back. I had no clue he was doing that. I wouldn't have allowed it. It was not my dream or wish for him at all. Hi, my name is Peggy Ray, and I'm Chris Candido's mom. He was confident that he was going to be a wrestler. It was what he wanted for his future. That's what he wanted to do. He was in a wrestling match at Madison Regional High School, and I went to watch the match that night.
I think he was working with Johnny Hotbody, and Johnny Hotbody had him in a headlock, and he's like, hey, dude, you know, check out the blonde in the front.
I actually saw Tammy while I was sitting in the bleachers, and I said to him, oh my God, I saw this girl, and she was all dressed in white, and she looked so heavenly. And he told me that, yeah, Mom, I met that girl too. Actually, we all went back to her house.
The girl in white was Tamara Lynn Sytch, a bright high school student preparing for college, unaware that her life was about to take a sharp turn.
When Chris and Tammy started dating, they were very into each other, together all the time.
And he would say, Mom, Tammy's coming, please be nice. And I was always pleasant.
That relationship was his other obsession.
He actually had a prom date. Tammy was just an acquaintance at that time, but he left the prom with the girl, and she was sitting there in her convertible. And he left the date and got in the car with her, which I didn't think was very nice. I thought in the very beginning that she was lovely.
After graduating from high school, Chris does everything in his power to establish himself in the wrestling business.
My brother was constantly on the phone, trying to get booked, driving to shows. Even if he's not booked, he's still gonna drive there and see if he can get on. And he wanted to go to Smoky Mountain, and he was calling Jim Cornette.
He started sending me VHS tapes of all of his matches on the independent circuit. I saw a lot of natural talent in Chris Candido. The drawback for me bringing Chris Candido to Smoky Mountain Wrestling was that I couldn't pay him enough to justify asking this kid to move from New Jersey to East Tennessee for $75 a night, 4 times a week or whatever. At the same time, Tammy had never been involved in wrestling. She was Chris's girlfriend. She would go and do some ringside photography or just support him. But I was looking at her, I said, there's something about her. She's got charisma. She's a very pretty girl, but she seems quick and intelligent. Finally, I got an idea. What if Tammy was a manager? What if she could talk? I don't know. Can she? I'm not sure. She's never done it before. But if she can talk, then I could pay them both a little bit. So I called him and pitched him the idea.
The way I fell into the business, Jim Cornette asked me to work for him. And I was in college. I was a pre-med student. I wanted to be a plastic surgeon. And I was like, this is his thing. You know, I'm in school to be a doctor. But I was like, all right, it might be fun. I'll make a couple extra bucks. And that's how I fell into it.
We were in East Tennessee in the early 90s, and it was a highly Republican area. Everybody hated the Clintons. He's president. Yes. Hillary has tons of heat with all the Republicans.
Suppose I could have stayed home and baked cookies and had teas, but what I decided to do was to fulfill my profession, which I
saw an opportunity to basically piss off every Republican and every hillbilly in East Tennessee and surrounding states.
This young lady is Tammy Sytch. Now, the Smoky Mountain Wrestling attorneys have advised us to let her have her say here on the program.
And I gave her notes. I said, here, this is the story we'd like you to tell on your first interview. Put it in your own words, make it sound natural.
Tammy?
My name is Tammy Sytch of the New England Fitches. I'm sure you've heard of us.
One take she did.
Mrs. Clinton has proven that a woman can do anything she wants.
Here is this woman who idolizes the person that they all can't stand. And she was coming to Smoky Mountain Wrestling because she demanded equal opportunity.
At any rate, the reason I'm here today is because I have filed a sexual discrimination lawsuit against Smoky Mountain Wrestling.
And the people hated that. She leaned into the idea that she could make people hate her. She wasn't scared of it at all.
I'm ready to become the First Lady of Smoky Mountain Wrestling. Hi, this is Tammy Sytch, and I'm here with Tammy's Tips. You'll be amazed at how I can make Margie into an acceptable human being. Tune in next week for more of Tammy's Tips. I'll make something out of you yet.
As soon as she was on screen, she lit it up, you know, like she just popped on screen.
And Jim Cornette put her in a perfect spot because she was that. She wasn't playing a part either. That was Tammy.
They're obviously insecure about their masculinity.
In early 1995, Tammy's charisma and Chris's dynamic wrestling style catch the attention of the WWF. Signing with the company, the pair finally achieve their ultimate dream.
His ultimate dream was getting to the WWF and being a top talent.
He attained his goal, and a lot of people just never attain their goal, and he did it without any encouragement from me.
Tammy, from the beginning, was ready to conquer the world, and she didn't care who knew it, didn't care what anybody thought about it.
Yes, I do think with the success, her head grew pretty big.
But the transformation that she was undergoing personally, inside and underneath all that, was even more remarkable and honestly much more dangerous.